What is up, everyone? It is Mock Draft Monday, the thing that everyone looks forward to, at least those of us that are here, right? So I'm glad to be back with you guys. If you may have noticed, we didn't do my normal TCR live Thursday. I was kind of out of town with my family, but we're back for Mock Draft Monday, and the first Mock Draft Monday with free agency, though free agency doesn't feel like it's started in Arizona, and that's a conversation. But I'm here with my guy Corey, who's back with us. Corey, good to have you back. How the heck are you, dude?
It is going, man. It is going. It's glad to be back. I have missed this very much.
Well, we missed you. I know you live and breathe this stuff. So quick, let's say hey to some of the folks that are here. Elliot Stevens, every week this gets more depressing. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, yeah. I hope you don't mean my show. No, but you mean I'm assuming you mean what's going on with free agency kind of being slow. And we're not really going to get into that too much tonight. This is, Mock Draft Monday, but we will talk about what moves have and haven't happened, how they impact kind of at least, our thinking on mock drafts. We got Graham Gaming. Thank you for being here. Hey, how's it going? We got Simon, a channel member and a great supporter of the channel. Hi, chat. Thanks for being here. Who's this guy? Oh, wait, Corey Red Sea. We got Chris.
I don't know who that is.
Hype for Mock Draft Monday, and he gave you a welcome back. So yes, it's definitely good to have Corey back. So and I didn't really tell you I was going to ask you this question, Corey, so I'm totally putting you on the spot, but I don't think it's one you have a hard time answering. Based on what's gone on thus far or hasn't gone on thus far in terms of re-signings and free agents that have or haven't been signed, what do you think, are there any changes to how you're approaching mock drafts right now based on that, what's gone on or not gone on?
Aside from some of the picks, because the comp picks are official now. Aside from that, no. Okay. We've only gotten worse.
Okay.
And if you're in the Discord, which plug the Discord.
Yes.
I've been one of the more vocal people in that server, is just saying someone needs to light a fire under somebody, and we need to get moving because we're only getting worse.
Yeah, again, we're not going to go too deep into this. My voice in this has been, I want to wait till I see what the roster looks like when they're all said and done, when the dust settles, before I judge it, because I've been saying since like the end of last season that depth was their biggest problem, that they fell apart at the end because of depth. And I want them, instead of getting one or two big splashes, I want them to sign like 5 or 6 guys that are starters or rotation players and spread that money out. And a lot of those kinds of players are signed later in the process. So I'm being patient. I know it's frustrating. Like we're talking about, it's like, like I said, it's like Christmas with no presents. We're all frustrated about it, but if they don't make those moves, when it's all said and done, if they haven't signed those players, then I'll be critical too. But let's wait and let's see how it works out. But I know folks are frustrated. I think the kinds of players they are wanting to sign are the guys who, like a lot of those guys are still waiting for bigger contracts. And then when the big money dries up, then what happens is you have a lot of those time guys that are like, okay, I didn't get a bigger contract. I couldn't get that, $7, $8, $10 million contract. Okay, I'll sign a $3 million contract now. And it's like when we signed Malcolm Butler last year. I know that didn't work out because he retired, but he was like a $3 million starting quarterback who was a solid player before, in the years prior. That's what I think they're doing. If they don't do that, then I'll be critical. But we're here to talk about a
better example for Cardinals fans, especially Cardinals fans recently, who just joined on to this pain and misery. Remember in the 2015 training camp when we signed Chris Johnson for basically nothing?
Yeah.
And Chris Johnson was our starter.
James Conner was late. He was an 8. They didn't sign him until like April 13th. But anyway, we'll talk about that more probably on Thursday. Let me real quick say hey to some of the folks that are here. Rafael Castillo, let's do this. He's ready. Jose, yeah, Jeff Gladney, we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah,
I don't think it's all he's going to do, but it's the only new player we've got. Appreciate Grenez, our Miami Dolphins fan, who's such a great supporter of the channel. That means a lot. Everyone who's here supports me a lot, but it means also something special that a player, fan of another team is here to support and, saying hit the like button. Thanks for that reminder. Really appreciate you. Let's see. We got Moore's Legacy. Thanks for being here. We needed to sign someone. I think they will. I just think not yet. Right. So for me, what has and hasn't happened in the draft, in free agency has impacted a couple of things for me. And for example, what was mentioned in terms of Jeff Gladney, I think the fact that they signed Jeff Gladney, who was a first round pick a couple years ago, he had some obviously we know the off the field stuff. That's why he was available. He had a rough rookie year, so he is not a proven commodity by any stretch of the imagination, but he had enough talent and ability that he was, or at least potential that he was a first round pick. So I think because they've signed him, I don't think they're going to go cornerback early in the draft. I think they're going to sign a veteran cornerback, someone like Robert Alford, or hopefully even better. Because if you look at the team last year had 5 cornerbacks on the roster. They usually go 4 to 5. They've got Marco Wilson, who's a young cornerback. Now Gladney, who's a young cornerback. Byron Murphy and Antonio Hamilton. That's 4. Sign a veteran. But I think they've already got their 2 young guys they're trying to develop in Gladney and Wilson. I don't think they're going to go another early rookie. So for me, I have not been drafting cornerbacks in the first or second round or even third round lately because of that. I think also with Kirk gone now officially and Green probably gone, maybe they'll re-sign him. I know fans don't want him, but with Kirk officially gone in particular, I've been in more of my mock drafts going with 2 receivers, one early and one late, one an outside receiver, usually bigger, and one a slot receiver. Because right now, as it looks, it's going to be Rondale Moore and Greg Dortch in the slot. So I could see them adding like a 6th or 7th round small slot receiver who was really productive in college, but goes late because he's small. With Ertz and Max back, our tight end room, I could still see them taking a tight end in round, day 3, but I've moved away from that because they brought both those guys back. I think there's less urgency to draft one. And I'm also more and more taking a middle linebacker on day 3 as depth, not a guy you want to start, but with Hicks gone. So for me, there have been some impacts. Let me real quick say hey to some of the folks who jumped in. B-Red, C-Red, what's your guys' opinion on what's going on with these cards? Well, we've talked about it. It's frustrating. I'm a wait and see guy. I think Red Sea is a little in between that and eyebrows raised, but yeah. Diego, thanks for being here. Diego here. Appreciate you being here. Folks talking about Julio. Man, I think I would say this, when Julio is healthy, I think he's one of the most physically gifted and talented receivers in the NFL. It's just the health. But so let's get to the mock draft. So that's why we're here, right? But I did want to talk a little bit about how I think what's happened so far maybe is impacting at least how I'm approaching mock drafts. So we're going to get into our first, what we're going to do first, which is actually our player profile. So someone in the Discord, plugging the Discord again, there's a link to the Discord below. If you aren't part of our Discord, go. And if you've never done Discord before, it's easy. It's go. There's a link before to join or below to join. There's like 90 something of us in there, and there's really week long throughout the week. There's a lot of good conversation there. You can have your Cardinals fix all week. I'm active in there. Red Sea Corey's active in there, but someone and I believe I apologize if I forget who it was. I think it was Robert Moore, but someone suggested Zion McCollum to be a player we profile, and I touched base with Corey on this, and he was willing to go ahead and have it be his profile. So Corey's going to talk to us about Zion McCollum.
When I didn't really know much about him until the combine started. And once the combine drill started, I was like, maybe I'll do a little bit more film. When I got to watch his film, I liked a lot of the traits that I saw. he wants to. That's one of the big things that I saw. He wants to do. He wants to play corner. Some of the other things like ball skills, he has them. Speed, I question because he's just such a tall guy. I question stop start. He's going to be a lot of trade. He's not going to come in and start. He's going to be probably a late day 2, early day 3 guy who you bring in on your roster and just develop him and hope to see that development kick in towards the later part of the year. He's not going to be at least from what I saw, he's not going to be like an instant day 1 starter like a Sauce Gardner or a Derek Stingley would be in this class.
Yeah, and I think you talk about him as a traits prospect. He's 6'2", 199, so he's got the height.
He's 6'4".
Really, what I saw was 6'2", maybe. I know sometimes there's some
6'2", 6'4", tall.
Somewhere he's got good size for a corner, right? But like at the combine, he ran a 4.33 40, which was the 3rd fastest amongst cornerbacks. So he's got the straight line speed. Now that doesn't mean he has the stop and start speed necessarily at the same level. And I don't think he ran some of the drills that translate to start and stop. But he had the 2nd best vertical among cornerbacks and was 1st in broad jump. So he's got that. He's got the explosiveness and the vertical kind of ability and the speed. Maybe the start and stop we're not sure about. I imagine it's not bad, right? But as Diego's pointing out, one of the biggest concerns is at Sam Houston State, you're not playing against top competition, right? So the level of competition is a concern. And, I don't think he graded out particularly impressively. I don't think it was horrific, but it wasn't great. It was fine, but against the competition, at Sam Houston State, that's kind of a concern. So he's absolutely, like you're talking, he is a traits prospect. He is someone you draft because you see the traits and you think you can coach them up. And it was like, I think someone told me that Tom Dimitroff, who used to be with the Falcons, I think that this quote was attributed to him. And I think it was actually Jordan P. who might have said it in the chat once, that he said, draft me the athletes and we'll make football players out of them. And that's the idea with this guy. So looking at that, like he was in a lot of my mock drafts in like round 3. But with my current thinking with, where I don't think the Cardinals are going cornerback early and they've already got a couple guys they're trying to develop, unless he falls to them, on day 3, I don't think they're taking him. I think they're not. I don't think because I think he's going to go too early. There's going to be a team that wants to develop his traits, and the Cardinals already have 2 of those guys they're trying to do that with. If the Cardinals take a cornerback in the draft, in my opinion, it's either going to be a guy who falls to them in round 1, who they see as a definite starter, who's going to be good out the gate, or it's going to be a guy late in day 3 who's just too good to pass up, right, as a traits prospect. So, yeah, but he's an interesting prospect, from that perspective. The guy I profiled is Thomas Booker. He played at Stanford. He's a defensive tackle there. I think he projects a defensive end, like a versatile defensive end in the NFL. He can play a 3-4 end and even a little bit of 4-3 end. He's not he doesn't have the kind of bulk and anchor to play a nose tackle. He's definitely more that edge, defensive end 3-4. But he's versatile. He's quick, and he's smart. Like he's real. I mean, he went to Stanford, but Brett Coleman had highlighted him in one of his videos, and he showed a clip of an interview with him where they were just talking about things that you pick up on playing defensive line. And I think he's a guy who's wherever he's going to go, he is going to learn that playbook. He's going to look at quickly. He's going to excel in the cerebral side of the game. And I don't know if he's got the physical traits to be a plus starter. He's a day 3 kind of a pick, but he's a smart guy who would be a nice part of a rotation. And, he had some decent athleticism. His 40 time was 5th amongst defensive tackles. His broad jump was 4th. He was only one of only 5 defensive tackles that did the 3-cone, but he was tied for the best time on that. He was one of 7 defensive tackles who did the 20-yard shuttle, had the best time. He was a team captain Cardinals love drafting team captains. So he's an interesting guy who I could see as a day 3. I have a feeling someone's going to take him before the Cardinals get a chance to, but I'm intrigued by really smart players. Any thoughts on him, Corey?
Yeah, another player I didn't really get a chance to look at that much, personally. But when I was going over it briefly, the fact that he goes to Stanford says enough. But this guy, think he's gonna have it in between the ears. In between the ears, he's gonna have it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just how long is it gonna take for his body to catch up with his mind? Because his mind's gonna be elite at the gate for a rookie. But his body, I don't know if his body's going to be elite for a rookie.
He's going to be a guy who plays based on quickness more than strength. And maybe he's not that he's weak, but doesn't have quite the anchor to be a defensive tackle, or defensive nose tackle, but he'll have to put on he might have to put on a little more strength to really, really be, to really take the next step at his position. But you're right.
Maybe get up to like 310, maybe.
In fact, he actually played at 310. That was his playing weight. He went down to 301 for the combine. So, but anyway, so he's an interesting prospect. So, we do this every week. We talk about a couple of new players just to kind of give y'all an introduction of players and help us learn about, but we're going to get to what y'all are here for, because you guys are here for the mock drafts. So we're going to start with Corey's mock draft. Let's and let me get on a comment. Let's see. Your local Texans fans, thanks for being here. Your Cardinals don't look horrible, but they have no depth when their stars play good. So listen, and this is why I'm saying with free agency, I think they need to go depth rather than big splash. But that's a whole other conversation. But Corey, tell us what you're thinking with your mock draft.
With this mock draft, I was more or less trying to get players who I think will personally just take that next step and be playmakers 4 or 5 years down the road. In the first round, I didn't like where I was with the value, and I thought Devontae Wyatt was on the board, but I thought I could trade down and still get him. So I traded down with the Titans. Devontae Wyatt goes to the Bills. Yay. But thankfully, next best option for me was Travis Jones, a player who we've talked about before. Instant plug-and-play nose tackle. Start him, forget about the run problem. It's going to be fixed. In the second round, I went with a player who's high-end reps. They're up there with Kayvon Thibodeau, with David Ojabo, with Javon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson. He's up there with them. But his low-end reps, they're third round. Third, fourth round. He's going to be a situational pass rusher, which is actually perfectly fine, because right now where the Cardinals are, we don't exactly need a true every down edge rusher, at least right now.
Right.
We could draft a situational edge rusher, mold them into an every down pass rusher, and reap those awards. And Drake Jackson, he fits the bill of a 3-4 end, or you can even put him at 3-4 outside linebacker. He just have to rush. He is so fast. He's so on tape. He is so explosive.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to say, hey, I apologize in advance if I mispronounced your name, but Facundo Morrissey, thank you for being here from Argentina. Always love seeing Cardinals fans and NFL fans from around the globe joining us. So appreciate you being here. So yeah, I mean, I like, I love Travis Jones. I think an edge rusher, somewhere on day 2, I love, or round 2. I'm day 2 or round 2. I get the same thing in a sense. So Drake Jackson's a guy I've looked at. We've talked about Parm's been on a lot of mock drafts, right? Getting a guard. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of players, and obviously I see you've got McCollum that we talked about already. So there's some players I like on there for sure. Right.
Yeah. And here the third, I really did not expect Dylan Parham to be here, but what's great about Dylan Parham, thank Josh Jones thank Josh Jones. He can play right tackle or right guard. Whichever one Josh Jones doesn't work out at, you put Dylan Parham. Excellent in pass protection. Rated out phenomenal in pass protection.
Yeah.
And we like to pass the football in Arizona. Sign me up.
Yeah.
And with one of the picks that I got in the trade down, I figured if Zion McCollum's there, I'll take him because he's just falling. And he was there, so I took him.
Yeah. Real quick, hey, Elliot, yeah, I mean, listen, this is probably a better question for Thursday night's live stream. I do my TCR live Thursday nights, and that's a more general conversation. So if you want to talk about this, we'll probably, Thursday night, we'll probably talk about this more. I don't want to get too bogged down into the free agency stuff because this is more mock draft. The short answer is that I know this team has a lot of holes. That's why I want them to sign like 5 or 6 free agents, not just 1 or 2. They need to build depth. I think they need I've been saying for a long time, they need a true nose tackle. I think you can get those guys later in the draft. I love Travis Jones, but you'll see on my mock draft, I got a guy later. They need to fix the defensive line, no doubt. But they need to do it with, I think they need to fix a lot of holes, and free agency isn't over. That's the short version. And yes, I'm serious. I've been following the Cardinals since '88. I've been watching them for a long time. I may be more patient than other people, but I know free agency keeps going after June 1st cuts. There are good players that are picked up late, and those players later cost less per. So I'm for filling multiple holes, not just 2. But we can talk about that more on Thursday.
A lot more patient than the rest of us.
I am.
A lot more patient than the rest of us.
If they don't sign those players, I will be critical too. But I know, having watched this for 30 something years, I've been following football, that good players are signed far into it. But so I like but I like the positions you're hitting. I talked about earlier that I think getting a linebacker, depth linebacker, you've got a defensive interior, got another receiver, a halfback. We need that. You went real heavy on cornerback, obviously. So the question is, who are they cutting? Because they only keep 5. I've only seen them keep as 5 in recent years as the max, right? So like Barnes, like they've already got 4 guys right now, and they haven't even signed a free agent. So they might not all make it, right? But someone isn't making it who's either currently on the roster or you're drafting. So I know Christopher Allen is an edge rusher. I think you've talked about, didn't he have some off the field stuff? Otherwise, is that the guy, or is it the guy from Georgia?
That's the guy from Georgia. That's
okay, there's a guy from Georgia. Okay, so he's a late edge rusher. We've talked about this before. I like if you're going to take a flyer.
When in doubt, pick from Alabama.
Right. So, and Morris, I guess he's got a good point. And I think with the fact that the compensatory picks ended up being, we don't have picks in 4th or 5th round. We thought, I think originally the compensatory picks were projected to have 5th, for them to have at least 1 or 2 5th round picks.
Yeah, we were supposed to have, I think, back-to-back 5th round picks.
Yeah,
now we don't even have picks until the 6th.
Now it's a bunch of 6th and 7th. So I wouldn't be surprised if they trade back to try to get some more picks in rounds 4 and 5. So I hear you.
This is brutal.
And of course you've got Batariza, right?
I have to. We re-signed Andy Lee. That could just be for a safe blanket. Because if Matariza gets drafted in round 2, which I wouldn't be mad at it.
Yeah.
Then we don't have a punter in a couple of years because Andy Lee is what, 45, 50, something. Yeah. Just a quick overview on day 3 because we can skip through a lot of this. Marco Jackson, don't hate me. It's just a linebacker for depth.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Keim is going to pick a linebacker. Just might as well have it here. D lineman from Kentucky, huge nose tackle. Mm-hmm. When Travis Jones is on the field, you can put him on the field, and there will be basically no drop-off in production. Reggie Roberson, slot receiver, kind of what you were saying. Get a receiver who's maybe from a smaller school or maybe doesn't produce as much, but you like the traits, and you like the fit in the offense, and work with that. Jaron Neely, Chase Edmonds. Cut and dry. Kalen Barnes, funny story actually about the corners. Antonio Hamilton's actually not on the roster right now.
I thought they signed him to a futures contract. They didn't.
I don't think they did, unless the source I saw was wrong. I don't think they did.
Okay.
But even if they did, I would think Kalen Barnes would go on the practice squad, and you just bank on his traits developing through the year, and then eventually cutting Antonio Hamilton.
Yeah. And
then we already talked about Christopher Allen. Always pick from Alabama when you're in doubt, and then Matariza, the guy.
Yeah. Real quick, appreciate Aaron Van Buren being in here. Good dude who joins me sometimes on Thursdays. He writes for Raising Zone, but he also writes, I believe he writes for the Texans page, so he knows a little bit about them. So we got I Am Bear. Thank you for being here. No down for draft and punter when I don't see the punt team on the field. We got Payo time.
That's good in theory. That's good in theory. Not Madden, but that's good in theory.
I appreciate Payo. Yeah, Payo time being here. Really good dude. You're talking about. Listen. I think we've sold him on Matt Ariza because now he wants Matt Ariza for
watch
for the
any
Rams.
kind of film on Matt Ariza. Not even film. Watch the combine.
Yeah,
tore up the combine.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna
He's
tell
faster than receivers. He's a punter.
I'll tell you what though. Y'all are gonna hate me now because I've got you on the Matt Ariza train, but he's not on my mock draft. The blasphemy, the heresy. I have let you all down because there is no Matt Ariza on my draft.
You heretic.
I know. I'm an utter heretic, so so with Andy Lee re-signed, I know that doesn't mean he's definitely the guy, but I don't think they're going to draft Matt Ariza. So here's what I got. Chris Olave, I've drafted him before. I know he's not the big outside receiver that we think they like, but he's one of the I think a lot of people view him as one of the safest bets at receiver. He's he's kind of compared to Calvin Ridley. He's one of those guys who I feel like is scheme versatile. He's just so good. So if he's there, I still like him. In round 2, went with Nick Bonita, who I had last week. An edge rusher. We need an edge rusher. I like taking one in day 2. I think there's going to be some good developmental guys there. In the 3rd round, I went with Donovan West from Arizona State, a center who's also played. He also played guard in college. I mean, they say he profiles best as a center, but he could be a guy who could compete for one of the starting, for the right guard position, but at worst be a backup center who develops into, a starter. So I think he'd be an interesting pick. And then, we had to wait till 6th round, but Jaden Peavy, a guy who we drafted a lot before, he's a nose tackle. He's good against the run. I love some of the defensive linemen early in the draft, defensive tackles. But there's so many needs, especially receiver and edge rusher, that you kind of want to go a little early on those, and you can find good nose tackles late. So I've kind of moved away from that a little bit, as much as I still love Travis Jones as a player. So Jaden Peavy is a guy you could get on day 3 who could be that nose tackle, and you can get it because nose tackles have been kind of de-emphasized, that they're viewed as 2-down players. You can get good ones later in the draft, right? Aaron Van Buren, have I watched any film on Kenneth Walker? Your favorite? I haven't. I know he's really good. I'll be honest. I'm not looking at the running backs as much as I probably ought to, because I actually am not wanting them to take one until day 3. And so the best running backs I feel like are going to be gone before at least in my opinion, they should. I love ASU players. Actually, normally I don't go for them specifically. I did on this.
Kime love them. Love them.
Yeah. I'll tell you though, like normally I'm not like going after this one. I took a couple of them, and maybe part of that was playing to, I knew that, like, hey, we've got this Arizona crowd. So maybe when I'm choosing a linebacker in round 7 and there's 3 different guys to look at, I'm like, let's go with the ASU guy. Right. But normally I don't take a ton of them, but I did take 2 of them this time. So Jaden Peavy, and then I've got another receiver, Danny Gray, who's, he's he is 6'2", 199. But the thing that I've been looking for with the when I am looking at taller receivers, especially late in the draft, I'm looking at their PFF grade for contested catches, because we see that's what Kime wants on the outside. And listen, for all the things we can say about AJ Green, had an uneven season, but he made some nice contested catches down the field late as well. So he had a couple bad plays, but his good plays were contested catches. So I look for, when I'm on day 3 looking for take a flyer on a receiver, I look for a guy who has good grades on that. And Danny Gray had a good grade on contested catches. So maybe a developmental outside receiver. Kenny Brooks is a halfback. He's not like a physical traits, he's not super fast or super strong, but he was very productive at Oklahoma. In round 7, a guy who, he's a patient kind of tempo runner, could be a solid depth piece. Then obviously we got a linebacker, Darian Butler, which what kind of did stand out to me about Butler is he had a really good coverage grade. I know we need help against a run, but right now, if you're looking at a 7th round depth guy, you're looking for someone who can do something well. And if he's good in coverage, that's a thing that he excels at. That's a trait you can hang your hat on. And then I've got Blaze Andres, a guard out of Minnesota. I've drafted him multiple times. He's 6'6", 335. He's played every O-line position except center. And he had an 85.6 PFF grade. I know the competition isn't as good as SEC, but Minnesota isn't Sam Houston State either, so it's a little more in the middle. He's a round 7 guard who's big. You can maybe hope he becomes a good rotational guy, on your team, and he's played multiple positions. So that's what I got here. Got a number. I made some picks that were different, some similar, but most of
not having the staple player, I actually like this draft a lot.
Okay.
For not having the staple of Matt Ariza, which you will still be outlawed as a heretic for.
Listen, this is not an official draft because it doesn't have the Matt
exactly.
Ariza.
It doesn't have Matt Ariza, so this is not official. This is a mulligan.
Yes, it's absolutely. But
I do like this draft. Chris Olave is personally my favorite. More, if I can remember how to speak English, my preference of the 2 Ohio State receivers. Mm-hmm. Ohio State receivers are going to be great route runners. Look at Terry McLaurin.
Yeah,
I personally put Chris Olave more towards. Well, actually, no, yeah, I guess Calvin Ridley is a good comp. Yeah. Just don't gamble, please. Nick Finito is literally Hassan Reddick. The only reason he's not drafted in the 1st round is because, well, it's a different NFL. NFL now.
For sure.
Donovan West, worst case scenario, backup center. Anything would be better than Max Garcia. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I love this day 3. I like Merlin Robertson, the other Arizona State linebacker, better. Mm-hmm. But I'm not upset with Butler. Kennedy Brooks, I love out of Oklahoma. I love Kennedy Brooks out of Oklahoma. So I really love this draft. You just need to put Matt Ariza here, and then he'll just be the perfect draft.
Yeah, then it would have been a winner. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Christian Watson is a guy. Yeah, that's a guy who I think we'd have to take round 2. I don't know that he'd be there for round 3.
We'd have to take him a lot earlier.
I think he was on my mock last week, and I take him a lot. But when I go wide receiver round 1, then I don't. But I think I like his traits, and so for sure. So let's get to our first from the folks in the stream. So Kirk's Legacy's got the first one up. He did a trade back. I'm just gonna run through it real quick, and then maybe I'll run through who he's got, and then maybe Corey, you can highlight a few of the players you like on here. Got the edge Drake Jackson, who you had. Developmental edge. He did trade
out of the 1st round.
Yeah, he traded out. Then we got Dylan Parham, the guard, who's shown up a lot. We got John Mechie the third, a receiver. Kellen Deich, the tackle. Jojo Doman, who they list as a cornerback, but he seems more like a linebacker safety kind of a hybrid.
Yeah, he's kind of more of that like slot corner, linebacker safety hybrid. Like very poor man's Isaiah Simmons. But go on.
Yeah, we got Neil Farrell Jr., defensive interior. We've got Zonovan Knight, running back, halfback. We've got Ayoma Awazariki. Awazariki. I apologize for mispronouncing it.
Iowa State edge rusher.
Yes. Derek Deese Jr., tight end. Jordan Stout, a kicker. Matt Ariza, we're fixing both kicking spots. And then Travis Dye, halfback. So just identify maybe a couple of these picks that really stand out to you that you really like. Any thoughts?
Trading with Seattle is a little upsetting. I don't like giving Seattle anything.
Right. Except
I do like the idea. If this was just a different team, I would love it. Mm-hmm. It's a different team. I would love it. I love the idea of trading out of the 1st round this year because we don't have any picks in the mid rounds. Drake Jackson was on my mock draft. We talked about him. Dylan Parham on my mock draft. We talked about him. John Mechie is a guy I really would love the Cardinals to draft. I would really love the Cardinals to draft John Mechie because he's not Devontae Smith. He's not the standard for Alabama we've seen the last few years, but he's not bad. He's not bad. A lot of people think he's bad. He's not. He's not bad at all.
Yeah. I want to say hey to Beto, the Niners Sickness, a really good dude. He has a Niners podcast / YouTube channel. Despite the fact that it's 49ers, I love this guy. Really great dude. So appreciate him being here. So
Hate the team, love the guy.
Yeah, there you go. Really good dude. And then Socrates saying you third round you pick West guard, center guard, Tyler Linderbaum's generational talent. Rodney won't be here in 2 years for Kyler. I mean, listen, we talked about this a lot before. Linderbaum is so good.
We actually talked about this
no doubt.
Streams ago.
But I don't want to take a center in the first round. I don't want to take him in the first round because you're moving him to guard if you're playing him or you're sitting him. I'd rather take another player. We have a lot of positions of need. I'd rather take a different position in the first round. And I mean, I get how good he is. So, but my personal preference is to go a different position and then get, so I don't, so, you know, we've talked about this a few times in here. So I get the thought process. I just not for taking a center early, even if they're that good.
To put it in the very simplest terms, you want Tyler Linderbaum now for a backup role. Vaguely. You want him for a backup role, but when we spend that high of a draft pick on someone who's just going to be a backup,
or
you're going to hate it. Or out of position, you're going to hate it.
Because we've talked about the Cardinals'
biggest Collins, Son Reddick. Yeah. You're going to hate it when, like, you like it when it happens, but when it's actually on the field and the product is happening, you hate it.
One of the
there's nothing wrong with Tyler Linderbaum besides maybe sub 300, which you can fix. But it's just that we have a center.
One of the Cardinals' biggest problems, we've repeatedly critiqued them about this, is that they've been playing guys out of position for years. And that's why guys like Hassan Reddick, their careers with us are mismanaged. So I hear you, but I don't want to play him out of position. He's a great player, but I hear you though.
Generational player.
How do you feel about trading up to beat the wide receiver needy teams to get a premier player? Personally, I'm not for that. I am not a fan of trading up unless you're in the first round, unless you're going after the quarterback you want to grab. That's my opinion. I don't mind moving around in later rounds because it takes less. The draft capital to move up in the fourth round isn't the same. So for me, no, there are receivers I like later, and I'd rather see who falls to me. That's my philosophy. Corey, how do you feel about that?
If it was a year that we had more draft picks on days 2 and 3, I'd say do it. And more draft picks on day 2 and 3 and a lot less needs, I'd say do it. But this year, no. We can't go anywhere. We can't go anywhere up this year. We have to go down.
Okay. Gotcha.
As far as drafting goes, not wins. No, go up in wins, down on the draft board.
Let me real quick ask. So I think I know the answer to this, but Moore's legacy. Is Kirk's legacy now Moore's legacy? Not Kirk's gone. Is that you? I'm assuming that's you. You're saying my mock is okay. I'm assuming this is you. Now that
I would think.
It's Rondale Moore now that Christian Kirk is gone. Yeah. So yeah.
I didn't put that together until you said it. So I'm glad you did that, or else I would just be completely out of the loop.
You know, he's saying we sat both of those. We sat Simmons and Collins. So. But I want us to move away from doing that. I don't want us to do that again.
That's the problem. We need to stop doing that.
So this is Moore's legacy. So yeah, I'll tell you. Okay, I love a developmental edge rusher in round 2. Drake Jackson's as good as any of them. That's a pick I like. I like getting a defensive, Neil Farrell kind of later. I like getting a developmental edge rushers on day 3 as well. Kind of like what I've talked about Baltimore does. I like going running back late. I think Zonovan Knight's an interesting option. You kind of doubled up on running back. And then, it's got the Matariza, right? So there you go. Let's see. And so let's move on. So I think there's some nice players on here. You took a lot of shots. You traded back, got extra picks. So I like taking a lot of shots. So now we have Rafael Castillo, who's also very active in the Discord and who's I know was in. I'm assuming he's still in here. He was in here earlier. So he did a little bit of a trade back, stayed in the first round, but moved back a little bit, which I like. And he got a receiver in first round, a guy we talking about a lot, Treylon Burks, who's that big receiver outside who is maybe more of a fit for what the Cardinals want outside. We got Nick Benito, again, Dylan Parham, Cordell Flott, another cornerback. And sorry, Nair saying this. We're trading Jimmy G for a pack of gum. Would you guys be interested? Oh man.
I think Bill O'Brien might be interested. Call Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't think we want to take on that contract for a backup. So sorry, but
yeah, if you pay the contract, we'll take the player. You can pay the contract though.
So so we got Cordell Flott, cornerback, and we talk about with if you're going to take a flyer on someone, go Alabama. But if you're going to take a flyer on a cornerback, LSU's not a bad place to go.
LSU's a great place to go.
Yeah, so he's a guy who hasn't played well enough to be a day 1 or 2 pick, but he's a guy
The
worth
only
taking
reason
a
he's
shot
probably
on.
not drafted a lot higher is because he plays at LSU. That's probably the only reason.
Maybe,
and
yeah.
That sounds a little hypocritical, but he's sitting behind Derek Stingley.
Right.
You're not gonna beat that.
And then we've got Zion McCollum, who we talked about. Hey, Raphael got both of our profile guys. And we didn't announce that. So this was we don't serendipitous. Yeah.
We don't announce those.
So he got Zion. You got Zion McCollum, wide receiver Tyquan Thornton, Thomas Booker, Kennedy Brooks, guy who was on my mock draft, James Empey, a center, and of course Matt Ariza. Real quick, and I don't know this off the top of my head, is Tyquan Thornton, is he a big or small receiver? I should know that.
He's the guy who ran the 4.1 or whatever. He's the guy who unofficially broke John Ross's record, but officially it's like a half second late or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's the go straight fast guy. He's
smaller, right?
In frame, yes. I think he's maybe 6 foot. I can check really quick.
Gotcha.
But he's he's slender. He's slim.
Okay, interesting. So deep guy. Yeah, I mean, obviously Treylon Burks.
6'2", 177. That goes to tell you everything.
The picks I love on here. I love Treylon Burks. Good fit for what they want to do outside. I like Nick Bonita. If we can get him the second round, I really like that. Obviously, I like Booker and Burks. We talked about them. I don't love going 2 cornerbacks for the reasons I've talked about before. I don't think he's 6'2", so thanks, Diego. So he's actually not. Is that Burks or Thornton?
I think Burks is actually taller than that.
Okay, so that's probably Burks. Okay. Slender, Devontae Smith. Thanks.
He's 6'2". Wow.
Appreciate you being here. Devontae Smith. Yeah, that guy is slender, but he is effective. Keenan Elkins here. Thank you, Keenan, for being here. Appreciate you. You like this one. Okay. Yeah, I think there's a lot of players. To me, again, I wouldn't go 2 cornerbacks. We talked about why earlier, in my opinion, but that's just my take. But I like so Thornton is 6'2". Interesting. So yeah, he's slender and tall. I like a lot of the picks on here. I think you addressed a lot of key positions. I got a couple receivers for some depth. Yeah, I like it. Any final thoughts on this one before we go to the next one?
A couple of thoughts. Matt Ariza, thank God. We all have brains here except for the guy.
Except for me. Yeah.
James Empey is a guy I personally love. If he's available in the 7th round, I draft him. Mm-hmm. Even if I've taken a center already, I just draft him. Kennedy Brooks, we already talked about. I love Thomas Booker. We talked about it before. Tyquan Thornton, go fast. The thing I was gonna talk about, I'm not mad about 2 corners. I'm okay if we take 2 corners this year. I would be a little more upset if they're this close together. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see them maybe day 1, late day 3, mid day 2, late day 3. Like I don't want like round 3 and then a trade up to round 4. I don't want that. I don't want that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Real quick, if Marquise Brown is free agent next year, play with Marine College, which time? Maybe. Yeah, it depends. Depends.
That's a good point because we're projected to have a lot of cap room before Kyler Murray extension. So that's going to basically all of our cap room.
It's so hard to project that far in advance. It's only 1 year, but we just don't know what's going to happen between now and then. But I wouldn't hate it if the money's right.
I wouldn't hate it. Yeah, I wouldn't hate it.
I mean, he's a good player. Yeah. Would take an OT in round 3. Good one still there. Yeah. I mean, I've taken one sometimes.
If they're still there, yeah, it's gonna it dries up for me personally, at least. The tackle market dries up.
I know the Cardinals fans don't love DJ Humphries right now. I think they're sticking with him whether you like him or not. Beachum is a solid but not spectacular tackle. He's older. But they've got like Josh Jones, who I know struggled at guard, but he was a tackle in college. So I don't know that they're going to go tackle early. I could see them taking a developmental tackle late. I just don't know that on day 1 or 2 that they're going to. Maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't. I just don't know that they will. He says Kyler wants a receiver, so yeah, maybe they will, right? So cap does exist. I know that's a rhetorical statement that the cap's a myth. It exists. The accurate statement is this: contracts are flexible and malleable, and you can kick that cap number down the road a bit, right? It does go up every year. So the cap is not, there is a cap, but it's there. The ability to work, there's a lot of ability to work around it, no doubt, but it's not a non-factor. It's just more malleable than people think, but that's a whole other conversation. Jose doesn't like Pugh, but we resigned him. I think Pugh is solid, but not spectacular. And we got him. I think
he's he is what he is. He's average. He's not going to be spectacular. He's not going to be completely horrible, at least all the time. But he's average. He's average.
He knows the offense. He grades in the mid to upper 60s on PFF, which is a solid starter, right? So
not great, but not horrible. Just solid starter. We'll move on when we can eventually. Yeah. This year might not be that year.
I think I'm not going to get too far into this. Like teams that are messing with the cap. Yeah, I mean they're adjusting things. The cap's there. They're restructuring. They're moving players. That's probably a longer conversation than we have time for today. But
that's a way long conversation.
The Cardinals
have how the Saints have money right now.
I will say the Cardinals need to do some things to. There's a couple more moves they can make to create some cap space, but they've already done a lot of the things that they could do. They can still do something with DJ Humphries. I think they're going to extend him and structure it in a way that cuts into that or reduces that cap hit. And I actually think depending on if they extend Kyler, depending on how they structure it, it could actually reduce the cap hit this year and next year, but push it to, out after, because he's got that fifth year option is going to be, go up quite a bit from what his contract will be this year. And if he does an extension, they can do it in a way that it will reduce that it'll be that next year or the 2023 cap number for Kyler would be less than what his 5th year option would be. And they might be able to do it with a restructure that makes 2022 a little bit less. But those are the two big moves that they can make. They've made most of their other cap saving moves. Beyond that, you have to cut players that you actually want to keep, Watt, I don't know that you can do a lot to restructure. Maybe there's a little bit there, but listen, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. I think this is a good draft
Monday, not cap salary Monday.
Yeah. I want to say hey to Ford Chubb who's here. I second going after CD Lamb after contract's up. Lamb, if he stays on the trajectory he's staying on, is going to be really pricey.
I don't think Dallas lets him go, but
I don't think they do either. Idea. But he's looking like a solid player. So anyway,
unless he forces his way out of Dallas, I don't think they're letting him go.
Yeah. So I think Castillo's got a solid draft here. There's some
players I like him. I just personally I wouldn't take the corners that close together.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I really like this mock draft.
I'm with you on that. Yeah. And I would have only taken one and taken it later, but yeah. All right. So now we've got Robert Moore. So Robert, a great supporter of the channel and very, very involved. Also in Discord, he's very involved in there. So with him, we've got Travis Jones. He traded back. So we went, traded out of the first round. Oops. I think Corey's still there. It's just audio only. Okay. So we've got Travis. He traded out of the first round. Oh, maybe he might have jumped out. I think Corey's having some issues. I think he'll get back in here soon. So we got Travis Jones. Then we've got Alec Pierce in the second round. Also Kingsley Enagbare, an edge rusher. Dylan Parham, Zion McCollum, Ty Chandler, got a guard Ben Brown, and James Empey. So looking at these, I think, we talked about Travis Jones. We all love him, here. I like getting him in the second round there. Alec Pierce is a nice, big and fast receiver. So I like him. We got an edge rusher there to work with Enagbare. So I think that's great. A guard in round 3. McCollum, who we've been talking about, Ty Chandler, who's a running back we all have loved in here. And we've got Ben Brown. And then James Empey, the center. So we've got some nice. So I think I like the positions we've taken here. So hopefully I want to make sure if y'all in the chat can still hear me, just someone just give me a little something in chat that says, yep, because I want to make sure I'm not having, oh, there he is. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I've seen some comments. Okay. So more, I like the trade back, but we could give less. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. The trades in PFF stuff is a little tricky because sometimes they let you get away with trades that I think aren't realistic. So it's hard to
it
find
literally
that
lets
balance.
You force trades. It literally lets you force. It literally lets PFF literally lets you force trades.
It does, but even without the forcing, you can make some trades that I don't think are realistic.
Yeah.
So I always try to find that. I don't know, try to find the right balance. So
I try to make it as realistic as possible, but even though I know it's probably not going to be.
Yeah. So he's saying he thinks we could maybe get a little bit more. Thanks, Jose, confirming. I wasn't sure if y'all could hear me, but you can. Thank you. Appreciate that. So I like this. I mean, we got Travis Jones, got the defensive tackle we need, got a nice big receiver who's fast. We've talked about Alec Pierce, got an edge rusher to develop, a guard, a position we need. Got a cornerback. We talked about cornerback. Maybe wouldn't. I'm personally moving away from taking a cornerback until later in day 3, but
which, I mean, he did. He took one in day 3.
Yeah,
there's obviously one big problem with this mock draft.
No, same with mine.
Yeah, same with yours. There's one big problem.
No matter big stamp.
James Empey and Travis Jones make it really good for me, but there's no Matt Arias. So.
And Ty Chandler, I know there's some of the folks.
Oh yeah, I love Ty Chandler. He was the only other player on North Carolina that was worth anything.
Yeah,
North Carolina was bad.
I like him as a day 3 running back too. I take him in a lot of my mocks. Got some offensive line development to offensive line. I think this is a really solid draft. The only thing
I love this draft, but we're missing one player.
Yeah, right.
We're missing one player.
The only thing
keep one of these 7s and draft Matt Arias, and then perfect mock draft.
For me, the only thing I do different is instead of McCollum, I'd be taking maybe a linebacker somewhere in day 3.
Well, I mean, I don't mind that if he's there in round 4. I mean,
yeah.
Take a shot at least. I mean, that's what they did with Marco Wilson.
Yeah. Simon's asking, do you think Moore can be a replacement for Kirk's role, or do we draft someone late with that skill set, or give Andy more snaps? I'm sorry.
I think Moore instantly. I'd go as far to call him as an upgrade. Moore's a lot faster, a lot chippier, better hands as far as hands go. Because as we all know with Christian Kirk, he does not catch with his hands that much. He catches with his body. Rondale Moore catches with his hands. We saw against San Francisco, one of the best catches of the year. Second best by a Cardinal behind Jonathan Ward helmet catch.
Yeah.
Which was ridiculous. But to answer this question, I think Moore will actually turn out to be a lot better than Kirk. Kirk has the best agent ever. He got that much money from Jacksonville when he hasn't even had a 1,000-yard season in his career. Give me that agent. That agent's going to get me paid.
I love Rondale Moore's potential, and obviously, if you follow the channel, I love that. I mean, the video that really helped get my channel off the ground was talking all about that, and I did a follow-up video about him, and I think I'm not ready to say he's an upgrade yet, but he could be, right? It's hard to, but like he's a little different. Like I feel like
he's not more of like, I don't mean to cut you off here. He's not more like. He's more of the pure slot receiver than Kirk, because Kirk could theoretically play on the outside, even though he's not good at it. Rondale Moore's like the pure slot, only on the outside for deep go, straight, or post.
So, Rondale Moore's faster. He's more elusive. He's better with the
ball in his hands.
He's better with
the ball in Rondale Moore's hands and just watch.
So he's better with the jet sweeps. He's better in space. He's decent as a route runner. I think he just didn't get a chance to go downfield more. So I like a lot of things about him. I do worry about the health a little bit, the durability, because in college that was a little bit of an issue. But I think he could. I do think they're going to bring in someone for depth in the slot, and they might, someone who I don't like Andy Isabel. Maybe they'll give him some more snaps. The problem is I think they tried to play Andy in the slot, and he was more of an outside receiver, and it just didn't quite work out. Maybe they'll give him some more snaps. They're going to have, so it's, I think they're going to bring in at least one veteran receiver, and we're going to have to see what kind of receiver that player is, right? Before we know, but I think he can be. I think he's going to get a lot of Kirk's snaps. So I do think that. Sammy Watkins is available. Yeah, listen, I think he's still available, and he's one of those guys that I look at like you could probably get him for not a ton. Solid receiver, right? So
do exactly what the Kansas City Chiefs did the year they put him back on the map. Just sign him for basically bare minimum. Have him be a part of the Legion of Zoom that 1 year Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Where you literally just had a year where your receivers were faster than everybody else, and you won a Super Bowl that way.
So Diego's saying, I don't trade my first 3 picks because I'm 97% sure Keim would do it. I will say, though, Keim has traded back in the first round some.
Well,
the year that we drafted, hang on, let me finish. The year that we drafted Deion Buchanan, I know it's been a while, but the year they drafted Deion Buchanan, they moved back a little bit. So he has done that before. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, like, the first 3 picks, he doesn't trade the first pick as much. Second and third picks, he kind of ships around. Second pick, DeAndre Hopkins. Third pick, Ronnie Hudson. Second pick, and a player who was backup, Chandler Jones. I think those kind of worked out.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, he moves around
he moves his picks around. Just not the top ones he either misses on or moves them.
It's not like he doesn't do it every year the same way. Like the Patriots every year seem to trade back a little bit.
Every year.
He doesn't do it like that, but he does do it some. So I think this is a good mock draft. A lot of players we talk about that we like here. We love Ty Chandler, Alec Pierce, Travis Jones. So yeah, I think Robert's got some really.
I love a lot of the players in this. I just need one of these 7th-round picks to Matt Ariza and to have that player on the Cardinals. Only thing I need.
Well, I can't criticize that because I failed on that level too. Now we got Anthony Kennedy.
Ooh, TDN.
Yeah. So he went outside of the box and did the Draft Network. So
what I did in the first week of this.
Yeah. He doesn't trade picks to get more picks. He doesn't do that a lot. He does like to move around the board, but not necessarily add. So that'd be interesting. Bidwell should hire me I'd love that job, but I don't. There's a lot more to it than what just some of the stuff on here that I'm sure I wouldn't be equipped for, but I appreciate that. Real quick, I'll just say, I don't want to get too much of free agency, but we'll talk about that Thursday more. Jarvis Saenz, there's a lot of guys. Real quick, I want to say hey to someone who I try to say to everyone at least once. Eduardo Brunetto, thank you for being here. Hey guys, midnight here in Brazil. Appreciate you staying up, but I can't sleep before I watch your live. Our free agent is so inactive and disappointing. We need to be very sensitive to our draft picks. Greetings, Red Sea. Like I said earlier, appreciate immensely when you get folks in here from other parts of the globe. I love that our community is international, that not just US centric. So thank you for being here, Eduardo. I really appreciate that. So we got Drake London, which I love. He doesn't usually fall to me on the PFF drafts, but when he's there, I generally take him. Travis Jones in the second round. We've talked about him a lot. Love him. Sam Williams, an edge at Ole Miss, so got a 3rd round edge. Chris Paul, not the point guard,
not the basketball player,
but an offensive lineman out of Tulsa. Matt Hankins, a cornerback out of Iowa, and then we got Xander Hovath, a running back out of Purdue. And Mare Barno, edge out of Virginia Tech. So I'll be honest, there's some players on here that I really haven't looked at. What are your thoughts on this draft?
Honestly, I was gonna say that. I was hoping you looked at the players.
Yeah,
the players that I've looked at, most of them I like. Drake London, Travis Jones, obvious locks. Love those picks. The last pick, I always butcher his pronunciation. I'm so sorry. The edge out of Virginia Tech. Yeah. For some reason, I just can't pronounce his name. Probably because I suck at English, even though it's my language. I really love his developmental traits as an edge rusher out of Virginia Tech. As far as the other prospects go, I haven't actually studied the Chris Paul, Matt. I can't really see the last name. It's a little small.
Hankins?
Hankins. And the running back out of Purdue. But Sam Williams, I'm kind of lower on than a lot of people. Personally, a lot of people have him as like as a round 2 edge rusher, and I'm like, I'm not there, especially in this class. I'm not there.
Yeah. I got my buddy Kevin in here. Hi guys, I'm international too from the Republic of Texas.
Republic of Texas.
Yeah, Kevin's a friend of mine. He lives in Texas. I lived in Texas when I was in grad school, so I got to know Kevin through a mutual friend. So he's in here. So from the Republic of Texas. So we got plenty of international folks.
That is funny.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Texas sometimes feels like its own country, so it's an interesting.
I mean, hey, if you want to live in your own place with the horrible weather, come live in New England.
Right.
I'm wearing a jacket, and it's March, because it snowed last week, but it's 70 degrees now.
Right.
Don't ask me why.
So now we have K1 since day one, and I think that's Jordan P. That's his Twitter account.
That's his Twitter account? Oh, bet.
I believe so. So he's got Jermaine Johnson at edge in first round, Christian Watson second, Parham, Ty Chandler, Matt Ariza, so it's official, Darian Butler, Nick Ford, and then linebacker Jeremiah Gemmel. So I'll tell you the thing I love getting in it. I think Jermaine Johnson's a player that a lot of people have mocked to the Cardinals. I wouldn't hate that. I think he's a guy who could be one of the better edge rushers. He's, obviously we talked about Christian Watson last week a lot. I profiled him then. A good traits, big, fast receiver. Parham gets drafted a lot by us. We talked about Chandler, Ariza. The one thing that to me is curious is two linebackers.
Yeah, I was just gonna say two linebackers. That's a little.
Maybe one of them is just for special teams. I just like.
For me, I would probably think Jeremiah Gemmel would probably be just pure special teams because that's kind of what he is at North Carolina.
Yeah.
But honestly, I wouldn't hate it because I'm personally not high on Tanner Vallejo, as a lot of people are. I'm just not there yet. He makes some plays, but then other plays he looks horrible. We've discussed this over and over again. But if this is Jordan P, this is one of the few drafts that I actually agree with him.
Yeah.
Because if anyone remembers from AZ Sports Fan last year, he wanted Kyle Pitts. Me being a Florida fan, I would love Kyle Pitts in the Arizona jersey. Only problem is we don't use tight ends that much.
Yeah, well, we were gonna have to trade up a lot to get him.
We were gonna have to trade everything.
Yeah, back then when I was just starting, I did a video on what it would take to move up to get him. It was a lot, but
I love Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, no,
he just wouldn't fit in our offense, and we'd have to give up so much.
Yeah,
but Jermaine Johnson killed the Senior Bowl.
Yeah,
the Senior Bowl is the Jermaine Johnson Bowl as far as I'm concerned. PFF must hate Christian Watson if they give him a pass in round 2. Good God. And a lot of these players, the rest of these players, I really love for depth and for possible starters.
Yeah, I like the positions. I like the players. The two linebackers to me is questionable only because it's
questionable,
and it's more just because I don't know that we have room on the roster for two of them. Now, if you're talking 7th round, you take flyers and maybe you expect they'll be on the squad. So I don't completely hate that. But I'd probably look at another position with one of those. But
Moore's legacy, that TD was against the Jets too. So in London, I might add. I remember watching that game.
Yeah,
not exactly a big accomplishment here.
But so so I'd say I think it's a good draft, and I'm quibbling over the linebackers, but they're 7th round picks, so it's not that big a deal. For me, here's what I'd say: instead of one of those linebackers, I would rather take a developmental player at receiver, defensive line, edge, even a tackle.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
tight end. That's just me, but I don't hate it though.
I'd maybe personally for me, I'd probably swap the Darian Butler pick. I do like Jeremiah Gemmel a little bit more than Darian Butler.
Yeah,
because I just like Darian Butler's running mate at Arizona State a little bit better. I'd maybe swap that with a developmental D lineman, corner, maybe another receiver, but I look at Christian Watson as a more developmental 2nd round pick.
Yeah,
boomer bust because he's 6'4", but ran a 4.3, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. So
I'm not mad that he didn't pick another receiver. I would have just gone for depth at defensive line and corner because those are our 2 horrible positions for us.
Now with Darian Butler, like, I took him too, but like, and you've said, and I think you're right, and and Chris here says the same thing, that his teammate is better, but when I took him, his teammate wasn't still on the board, right? So for me, it's so that this is the guy that was there, and I'm taking a line in my mock draft. I'm taking a linebacker in round 7 just to fill depth, right? But
yeah.
But I think this is a really good mock draft. I mean, again, we're quibbling over the 2 linebackers, but that's not a major point. Overall, I think there's a lot of good players in good positions here.
If you want a Steve Kevin approved mock draft, you have to have a linebacker and someone from Arizona State. All I got to have a linebacker and someone from Arizona State.
So now we've got Bear, who's I know is in the chat. So I'm Bear. So we've got your mock draft up. So he's got Devontae Wyatt.
PFF hates Christian Watson.
I'm telling you, I don't think he's going that late either. But
God,
Devontae Wyatt, we've talked about him a lot. A great defensive interior. Nick Benito has been a couple edge rusher, receiver Christian Watson. If he's there, that's a steal. Jaden Peavy, I had him. I like him. We've got a cornerback to kind of develop. Jack Jones, Kennedy Brooks. Yep. We got Myron Django Vaiolo Amosa, edge rusher.
Only reason I know how to pronounce his last name is because 2 was in the league.
Right.
Only reason.
And of course, Matt Ariza. So I'll tell you, I like this mock draft a lot.
This is kind of what my mock draft would have hopefully looked like if all went well. If I didn't trade back and I just took Devontae Wyatt, this is probably what my mock draft would have looked like. So I think me and Bear kind of share wavelengths here. I really love this mock draft. I love Devontae Wyatt. I personally like him more than Jordan Davis. That's just me. Don't let that get out because people will kill me. But
there are parts.
I personally like this. I like this.
There are parts of this that's one of my favorites. I love. I mean, I don't think Christian Watson will be there at pick 87, but if he is, I love it.
Must hate the guy. That is criminal.
I'm really starting to love Jaden Peavy as a day 3 pick for that nose tackle. If we're not gonna, I mean, again, y'all know I'm a huge Travis Jones fan, but with our needs other positions, I'm now moving in the direction of I just don't know about a nose tackle on day 1 or 2. So Jaden Peavy, get a solid nose tackle on day 3. Love it. I took Kennedy Brooks. Tungo Vaiolo Amosa is interesting because he didn't shine at the combine, and he's not a guy who's going to be a double-digit sack guy, but he could be one of those solid he's like that kind of guy who's like good against the run, gives you a little something in pass rush, sets a good edge, and is versatile, so I think on day 3 I like that. So
he's one of the guys he won't be out of his gap.
Yeah.
But he's not gonna like blow up the stat sheet.
Exactly.
Another problem is trying to fit that last name on a jersey. Good guy.
Right. They're gonna have to find a way, right? And of course
that's gonna be some small font.
And then the Matt Ariza stamp of approval. We now have another one, Brian Darko, who is also, again, very active in the Discord. Once again, if you aren't in the Discord, please join. There's a link below. We have a lot of fun talking Cardinal stuff all week. So a lot of familiar players on here. We got Jones in the first round. I do think there's a chance Jones goes in the first round. It's hard to know for sure, but yeah. So the Notre Dame fan is why he took him. Hey, don't fault you for that. That day 3, why not, right?
If there were Florida players available for me, I would have picked Florida players. Jeremiah Moon went too early for me to pick him, so I'm sorry.
Yeah. So we got Travis Jones, who we all know about, Nick Benito, who a lot of us have taken round 2, Tariq Woolen, who we talked about I think a couple weeks ago, another one of those traits cornerbacks, who's really interesting. Hassan Haskins, who is a guy I really like. The only reason you don't see him on my mock draft so much is because the Cardinals re-signed James Conner, and I think we have Eno, and I think what we need is more of a receiving third down back, and that's the only reason I'm not taking Haskins, but I love him as a player. Then we got Matt Ariza, the official stamp. We got a guard, Ben Brown, who's been on a couple mocks, Nick Ford, a center, and then another cornerback, developmental guy, Josh Thompson. So what stands out to you about these picks? Anything stand out?
A lot of this we've gone over already. Hassan Haskins, I love Hassan Haskins. The only reason I don't pick him in a lot of my mock drafts is because we have James Conner back. Unless we gear towards James Conner, like running back by complete committee where it's
Mhm.
James Conner, Hassan Haskins doing the damage in between the tackles. But say on third down, Benjamin comes in and takes screen passes. That's the only reason. That's the only reason I'd see us getting another powerful running back.
Yeah.
Matterize a stamp of approval. Move on. This is a couple of mock drafts ago. This is more what I would do if we take two corners. Corner like day 3.
Spreading it out.
Spreading it out, not having them like pick after pick. This is what I would take Tariq Woolen, like metaphorically here. I would take Tariq Woolen in the third, and then with a Mr. Relevant pick, I'd pick a guy like Josh Thompson.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. So be red, see red. Yeah. Matt Ariza is become the official mascot of this live stream.
We're gonna be so sad if he gets drafted before the Cardinals.
It's half joke, half legit serious. Like he is a generational talent at punter. Go watch the film on him. He is.
Go watch the combine,
he's
man.
a demigod.
Jesus Christ.
He is so good, and but I legitimately like him and would love if the Cardinals somehow managed to get him on day 3. I don't want to use an early pick but he's so good. He's going to get drafted. But it has become a little bit of a, it's a little bit of a
meme, but it's a justified meme.
It's a running joke, a meme, but he's legit. So yeah, Matt Ariza 15 Pro Bowls. Yeah, right. David Pan, thanks for being here. I don't know if I've mentioned one of your comments here, but I appreciate you. Running back is probably the best position we get value in late rounds. Couldn't agree more. You can find guys on day 3 that are going to be solid NFL starters. And that's just the way things have gotten.
James Conner was undrafted.
Yeah,
Chase Edmonds was a 4th round pick.
Yeah, I mean it's just how it because we know the running backs kind of become devalued in the draft, right, wrong, or otherwise. So you can get guys in rounds 4 through 6 that will get 1,000 yards for you if you can keep them healthy and put them in the right system. So absolutely. So I think Brian Darko's got a solid draft here.
On our roster right now, the earliest running back that we have selected is Eno Benjamin in the 7th.
Okay.
Jonathan Ward's undrafted, James Conner's undrafted, and Chase Edmonds is in Miami.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, yeah. So I think the value is just really good late.
That goes to show you everything you need to know.
Right. All right. I think this is the last one. Kyler Bird. I don't think he's in the chat today, but he joins me on Thursday nights very often. He's got his own channel, Bird's Eye View.
Too, man. He's a nice guy.
He's a good dude, and he's got his own YouTube channel. So if you haven't checked it out, check out Bird's Eye View. So he submitted one. We got Devontae Wyatt, Nick Benito, Dylan Parham. Like I think those 3 have gone in a lot.
That has been like the staple for almost everybody.
Danny Gray, a guy I took. TJ Pledger, a running back out of Utah, who I almost took. Kalen Barnes.
I think he's more of a power back from Utah. I could be wrong, but
yeah, I'm not sure.
Utah is a NFL factory, but I could be wrong. But I think he's the bigger back from Utah.
And then we've got Kalen Barnes, cornerback, DJ Davidson, defensive interior, Chris Brown, edge, Alabama. We talked about Danny Gray. I liked that he's good at 50-50 balls. We talked about all these players. Do you know anything about DJ Davidson that you can tell us? We haven't really talked about him.
Probably one of my favorite Arizona State defensive linemen, aside from what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? Because I always pick him if he's available. Why am I forgetting his name?
I don't know.
I'm trying desperately to.
It'll come back to you.
It'll come back to me as soon as I see it.
So you like
Jermaine Lowe.
Jermaine Lowe. Okay, Jermaine Lowe.
Probably my second favorite defensive lineman aside from Jermaine Lowe. Great run stopper.
Okay. And
that's all we need.
So there you go, which is what we need. So I think that's a good draft. Yeah. Got a question here. Is Eno Benjamin ready to take on a larger role? I like the guy, but aside from a handful of runs last season, I'm not super convinced yet. I think he's ready to be part of a committee, but I don't know. I mean, he's had some really good runs. I haven't seen a ton from him in the receiving game. I didn't watch him a lot in college, so I don't know. They're doing a committee situation. I don't know if they're ready to give him the amount of snaps that Chase had or not. So that'd be interesting to see. I have a feeling they're going to draft someone who's more like Chase Edmonds in terms of skill set, or maybe even sign a budget veteran. So as much as a lot of people want to see Eno get more snaps and a bigger role, I'm not sure he's going to get the role that people hope he will. He might, but we'll see. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that before we
I'm kind of in a camp. I've wanted to see Eno Benjamin get a larger role for the longest time because when he's played in preseason, he's killed it. And especially like every training camp that we've had Eno Benjamin, it's always been, hey, Eno Benjamin's tearing up our defense a lot. Either this means one or two things. So far, it's meant the other thing, but we just haven't seen Eno Benjamin.
Yeah. I just wonder if he's more the early down back than he is the receiving back. And
I mean, he murdered Breaker Patrick. So that makes me wonder. That makes me wonder if he's more of a power back or if he's more of an elusive.
Well,
back.
What I was about to say is, I wonder if he's more that early. Whereas, which is what Connor is kind of, the big back that Connor is now. So we'll see. But it is time for what has become a tradition, which is we're going to do a mock draft together. So we are going to do a mock draft. We're going to go ahead and get it started. Arizona Cardinals mock draft. We're not going to do any trades on this. We're just picking straight up. So we're gonna show who's here, some of the picks, and then let you all start putting in the chat who you'd like to see them pick. So we've got we got tackle Raymond, Nakobe Dean, the Steve Keim special linebacker in the first round. Quarterback, we're not going. Penning, another quarterback. We got Andrew Booth, cornerback. We got like 3 cornerbacks there. A safety, Zion Johnson, Sky Moore, Boye Mafe, more corners. Then we start getting to some players, Travis Jones, Kenyon Green. Then we start getting to more players that I think are second round players. So does anyone, let's see, Sam Howell, someone wants to take a quarterback now. All right. So anyone, if we can get a couple comments in the chat, who you like us to take here.
For the love of God, don't say Nakobe Dean. For the love of God, don't say Nakobe Dean.
Right.
I love Nakobe Dean as a player, but please don't say him.
Yes, please don't. So we'll wait
just
for
a quick heads up to you, my boy. If my camera just cuts out, my phone died. I didn't realize my phone was so battery low. It's on 4%. So if I just cut out, it's because my phone died.
Duly noted. I'm not getting any. No one's really telling me in the chat who they want, or it's not showing up just yet. I know there's a delay there.
I'd probably go Andrew Booth here, but I want to see what chat says. I'd personally go with Andrew Booth. I've
just got one pick for Sam Howell, and I'm sorry, not going to go.
Not going Sam Howell. We kind of have a quarterback.
All right, we've got a couple Zion Johnson votes.
I do like Zion Johnson. Will be my second.
And then Booth. Ryan, thanks for being here. I think this is the first comment of yours I've seen tonight. So thanks for being here. The Ariza rule. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. We'll pick them later. Not now.
So we got Zion Johnson and then Booth. So those are the votes. I'd say the votes we got that I think are legit votes. So I don't know, Corey, I'll let you pick between those two, Booth or Zion Johnson.
I'm going to go Zion Johnson. I know I said I was going to go Andrew Booth, but I'm going to go Zion Johnson. We can get a corner later. This corner class is great.
Okay.
So I'm going to bank on Zion Johnson now and hope we get a developmental corner later.
Okay. And
if I disconnect, by the way, I'll still be in the chat because I have the chat up.
Gotcha. Okay. Now here we are in the second round. I mean, Nick Benito's there, who was taken a lot. We got Kingsley Enigbare, Drake Jackson, Cameron Thomas, like 3 or 4 edge rushers to look at there. If you wanted to go running back, which I don't usually do, but yeah, Green Bay stole Olave for us. Boo. Yep. I'm disappointed about that too. I'm seeing seeing a vote for Nick Benito. Booth is gone. Unfortunately, we didn't take him then. Seeing a vote for Jackson. Okay, so seeing a couple of votes for edge rushers.
I definitely go edge here.
I feel like edge rusher.
I take one of the 3 edge rushers. I take either Nick, Kingsley, or Drake. I take one of those 3.
Seeing one vote for Clemson corner.
Who's off the board?
Who's off the board now? Yeah,
I would think he was talking about Andrew.
Yeah, he was there in the first round, but we went in a different direction. All right, I do think that edge rusher is probably the direction to go here. Benito, Enigbari, Jackson, Thomas are the kind of the best ones up there. I got to
And they're all different types of edge rushers too, so you can really choose what you want.
Yeah, we got votes for like David Pan, Man Around Town, Nick, Benito. So we've got I tell you we got
one vote for at least one vote for each player. This is not helping.
We do have 2 votes for Nick Benito. He was a theme on this. I think we'll go with him because he was a theme. He was taken a lot, and we got 2 votes for him. So we'll go Nick Benito.
Gives us more of that hybrid outside linebacker pass rusher that we lost with Hassan Reddick.
Yeah, and he does comp a lot, right? So
he comps directly to Hassan Reddick. He's literally Hassan Reddick.
So then we had another vote for Benito. So I think that was the one that got the most votes. So here we are. Dylan Parham gets taken a lot. He's a little bit of a smaller guy, a guard center. Probably needs to put on a little bit of bulk, but then we got Kellen Dyche, Christian Watson is there, Donovan West. We've got another receiver, Khalil Shakir.
Khalil Shakir.
Romeo Doubs was in a couple of my mocks. He's a guy who
Romeo Doubs is still available.
Yeah. So
I'm thinking. Wait, hold on. Before my phone dies, is John Mechie available? I need to know. John Mechie available?
I don't see him.
Go to.
He's a receiver
again. Yeah, John Mechie. He should be ranked 83, I think.
He's gone. All right. So I'm seeing. Let's see, Watson, Christian Watson. I'm seeing Dylan Parham. Now everyone remember, we went guard first round, edge rusher second. I'm seeing a vote for David Bell. I don't know where he's at. David Bell, wide receiver, Purdue. Okay. He is 6'2", 205. I need to look into him a little bit more. He grades up pretty nicely too.
He was the big receiver to Rondell Moore's underneath stuff.
That's interesting. Okay. So I got Shakir.
I'd personally go with Shakir or Dubs.
I'm seeing a couple votes for Watson though, Christian Watson too.
I don't know why. I don't think he's going to be available here though. That's the only reason I'm not picking him.
Yeah, that makes
I don't think
sense.
he's going to be here. This is my only problem. I want to keep it kind of realistic. I don't think he's going to be here.
Okay, so we got Shakir, we got David Bell, we got Parham, we got Watson. I'll let you pick here.
Me.
Yeah, sorry, Corey. Go and let you make the pick.
It's probably gonna be the last thing I say.
I feel like it needs to be a receiver, though, right?
It has to be a receiver in my eyes. Yeah.
Here, let me filter it for receiver just to make it a little easier. I mean, at this point, then we're starting to get into guys.
You know what? I'm gonna take a shot. I'm gonna go Romeo Dubs.
Okay. I'm
gonna kind of take myself out here though, because I will be in chat, but my phone's on 1%, so I'm gonna make sure my phone's alive.
All right.
I shall see you guys next week. Hopefully.
Okay, so Corey's got to go because his phone needs to charge. He'll be in the chat. Thank you.
I forgot to charge my phone. Woohoo!
Woohoo! All right. So here we go. So he's still here audio wise for now, at least. All right, now here we are. We've got some running backs here. I feel like this is the place. I mean, Jaden Peavy's there. This is the place where I feel like we either take Peavy or a running back. In my opinion, at least. There's a couple other positions possibly. So we've got Ty Chandler's there, Hassan Haskins. If we're looking running back, we've got Jaden Peavy, like we talked about. There are a few other positions we could look at. Does anyone, so in the chat, let me know if you have any thoughts here. And if there's a different position you want us to take, we could, that's also a possibility. But I feel like this is the place to get our running back. I'm seeing Ty. Yeah. Moore's Legacy saying Ty. I feel like that's probably what I'm leaning towards too. Why don't we go ahead and take Ty Chandler? Yep. He's spamming it, but yes, we'll go with Ty Chandler. I think that's a good pick here. Now we got Matt Ariza, Matt Ariza, and then Hassan Haskins good too. Haskins, we passed on him, so he's gone now, unfortunately. So we did take Now, so there's, we took a running back. Matterize is here. There's also some other positions, some linebackers, some cornerbacks, center. There's a lot of different positions. I'm seeing Arise, Man Around Town, Moore's Legacy. Yeah, this is the official Matterize stamp of approval. Okay. It's Ariza time. That's right. We have taken Matteriza. This is an official mock draft now. All right. Now, we've taken a lot of different positions. We've got 3 picks now. We've got a running back. I don't know that we should take 2 of them unless you guys really want to. I wouldn't mind a linebacker, a cornerback I wouldn't hate, a center. There's a few tight ends we could look at. So let me ask you this. Okay, let's start with someone's saying Dale. Okay, DJ Dale, defensive interior from Alabama. Nice, big 6'3", 300-pounder. Didn't necessarily put up big numbers, but. And then we've got Barnes. Okay, he's I think that the cornerback who that 6 foot 186 put up big time numbers. I've got a couple votes, so let's see what cornerbacks are available. I think Barnes is one of the probably the better ones, but Barnes, Josh Thompson, Jalen Watson, Damari Mathis, so on and so forth. So I feel like I'll tell you, I've got a couple of votes for Barnes, at least a third person who's asking about cornerbacks. So I think we're going to go with Kalen Barnes. He tore it up at the combine. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a good pro, but at this point, you're looking for traits, right? So Kalen Barnes will go there. All right. So now I feel like position-wise, no Jack Jones. So I think I had 3 votes for Barnes or 2 votes Barnes, so we went that way. Here, I think, okay, I feel like at this point, I'm going to put a couple positions on here. I think at this point, wide receiver, tight end, linebacker are the 3 positions I'm most interested in taking here. I think a second receiver for depth to develop, a tight end, or also I'd say maybe like a offensive lineman. I think these are the positions I would personally look at. So we've got some linebackers, Darian Butler that was taken, Gemmel, Merlin Robertson from Arizona State. I think that was the one some of you guys said you liked better. Hey, welcome back, Red Sea. Defensive interior. So we just took one, but defensive interior, there's got this guy McKinley Williams, but he's 6'4", 285. He'd be like in our defense, like a defensive end. I feel like the guys that we that fit what we're looking for in defensive interior are mostly off the board. I tell you, I think folks were saying they liked Merlin Robinson better than Butler, and we took Butler a lot. So maybe why don't we go ahead and take him here just for the heck of it? Sometimes I like to just follow themes with these picks. All right, our last pick. Here's what I'm asking you in the chat. Just pop in there. What position do you want us to look at for this last pick? Tell me if there's a position you want us to look at, and then we can try to narrow it down from there. We already got a rise, so someone's just a stout. Someone wants a kicker. Okay. So we got kicker. Okay. See, we got anyone else giving us vote in the stream? Got 1 vote for kicker. And I guess, do they just put them under special teams? Halfback. Okay. So we've got Man Around Town says maybe another running back. We've got offensive tackle for Simon. Okay. So let's look at those. We got a vote for Stout. We got some running backs: Travis Dye, Eric Gray, Tyler Goodson. Got some tackle: Spencer Burford from UT San Antonio. Edge. Let's look at edges too. Tagovailoa Amosa is an edge that's there. Odemeo from Minnesota, developmental edge, 6'6", 285. He didn't get a ton of sacks, but he's still good size. Christopher Allen from Alabama. So draft a holder. So is there anyone that really stands out from this list? I got one vote for Jordan Stout. Trenches, offensive and defensive lines. Let's see. I'll tell you, Andrew Stuber. What position is Stuber? Is he on here? I probably should know that, shouldn't I? When in doubt, pick from Bama. Prater's solid unless he has to play after another newborn. Take care of you. Yeah. Is there a GM? I don't think we can draft one, sadly. Yeah. Is Stuber from Minnesota? If he's is that the guy from Michigan that I like? That's probably who that is, right? I'll tell you what, the guy I like who's still here is actually the guard that I've been taking. Not that we have to do that, but like, let me this is how he's graded out. Like, now the true pass set block grade isn't the highest, but like when you see blue, that's really good for PFF. And you see he graded well last 2 years, and he's played every position but center. So this is a guy I'm taking late from Minnesota. So yeah, Stuber, I remember now. I do like Stuber. He's a guy that I have taken a lot of times. Let me just clear that. I don't know that he's still there. He's a tackle on PFF's stuff, but he probably translates to guard at the next level. He's gone. Yeah, that guard is big. Yeah. That's now you guys see why I like this, why I keep taking this guy, right? Blaze Andrews, like, he's from Minnesota. So, the competition, maybe, he's 6'6", 335. So that guy is going to be a road grader, right? Big, powerful guy. He played Ohio State, didn't grade it real well there. Colorado, Purdue, Nebraska, there's some okay teams, but it's not like he's playing. He's not like he's in the SEC, but the competition isn't like as bad as it was like if he's, from Sam Houston State. I'm seeing Tyler Vrabel, coach's son. Yeah, there you go. But you see the grades on this guy are really good. Didn't give up a sack in 2021. So this is why this guy stands out to me. Sold me. Yeah, you sold me. You had me at 335, right? All right. I think I've just shoehorned you guys all into this one, right? And we got to pick one anyway, right? Yeah, Bateman, Mafe, and more. Absolutely. Minnesota's got some, Boye Mafe, who's a really good player, right? So we're going to take this, my guy here. So let's take a look at what PFF thinks of our draft. All right. They gave us a C+ for Zion Johnson, A for Bonita, D+ for Dubes, A for Chandler. They don't know what they're talking about. Matt Ariza, like, the whole thing should be an A because of that. Barnes, they like. Robertson, they like. Blaze gave us a B. Can kind of throw over it though. We half joke, but that's maybe a fair question, right? Yeah, but for late round, take a flyer on him. Here's the thing I would also say. He did play tackle. Maybe he could develop into right tackle. He played a lot of positions, so maybe he could maybe be a versatile guy. But I know we joke around Kyler's height, but that's a fair question. Like, a big guy that tall, right? But that late, we'll take him. So there we go. This is our mock draft we ended up with together. A lot of players that we like and that we've picked before, right? Yes, that's right. We got Matt Ariza in, and that should be an A+. Listen, if we get him in round 2, right, just Matt Ariza makes it an A+ draft, right? So, all right. So that is our mock draft. Let me just do a couple quick shout outs before we wrap up Mock Draft Monday. One of the things I always want to do is do a quick shout out to my channel members who are supporters of the channel. I really appreciate these folks: Brendan Store, Mark Jackson, Calvin, who was here, Red Sea, who's here, Kimmy Indolo, Lennon Wolf, Ben Lachini, Richard Sanchez, Simon Shi, who was here, JP, Tim Consilla, folks who support the channel on a monthly basis. Really appreciate that. I appreciate everyone who's been here in the chat. It's been a lot of fun, as it always is Mock Draft Monday. So, be sure to get your mock drafts in for next week. I'll get the links up and everything. And, you all know how to do that. And yes, join the Discord. We really do have great conversations all week long. We really kind of debate some of this, discuss some of this stuff. If you wanted to get your Cardinals talk in all week, we're in there. David, thank you for being here. I appreciate that, man. So yeah, thank you everyone for being here. If you remember, Thursday nights is TCR Live. We do more of a general discussion. So we'll talk about free agency and what's going on with that. And hopefully there's some moves to talk about then. But again, thank you everyone for being here. Really appreciate Mock Draft Mondays are fun for me. I hope they are for you. Great way for me to learn about the players while we all learn together. So thank you everyone. We'll see you next time, and peace.